Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to the Real Results Show. And I am really excited to have with me Dr. Tom Johnson. And we are going to be talking about why natural and functional medicine is superior to pharmaceutical medicine. If you are just joining us, this is the Real Results Show, where we feature real health coaches and health practitioners getting real results for their clients and for themselves. If you are joining us, make sure to drop the word coach below this video, and we are going to send you a link for our free career counseling session. And when you do that, you are going to get 10 tips and tools for your online coaching business. So make sure to drop the word coach below. My name is Piper Gibson, and I am your host. And with me this week is Dr. Tom Johnson. How are you, Dr. Johnson?
I'm good, thanks. Feels good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. I think this is going to be a really great topic. I know we get a lot of questions about being a licensed practitioner and being an FDN, so I'm excited to dig in with you. What prompted you to become an FDN?
It was a life crisis. I had what was supposed to be incurable cancer, and I had nothing to lose. And up until then, we're very much brainwashed as MDs to believe that just the MD approach is the right thing and the pharmaceutical thing. And it seems it's because it's got so much money behind it. And when we do, for example, when doctors do continuing medical education, we have to get a minimum of 50 hours per year, which I did every year for over 40 years. But to do that, you have to go to conferences. And at the conferences, everything is about pharmaceuticals. Or you have to read journals, and the journals are sponsored exclusively by the pharmaceutical companies. And when you're in your office, the pharmaceutical companies call on you almost every day promoting their products. Mm-hmm. And then the newspapers and the TV, all the media support the pharmaceutical approach, the standard MD approach. So I just thought, as most doctors do, well, this must be the right thing. It really came to a crisis with my daughter. She was in her second year of a 3-year holistic medicine course in Toronto. And I got cancer, and I looked like I was gonna die. I told my wife and 4 kids I was gonna die. There's no hope for me. And she said, Dad, why don't you, even before that happened, she said, Dad, why don't you try this stuff? It's pretty amazing. I said, you think if that was really good for people, wouldn't all the doctors do that? I mean, we're trying to help people the best we can. And I can't imagine if it's really that good for you that we wouldn't be doing it. Well, then I finally, with cancer, I had nothing to lose. So I threw myself in and saw, yes, this is amazing. It's an amazing world. And it's incredible that doctors are brainwashed to stay away from it. And so I think it's a better world. And I'm in it full tilt. I've basically started my own practice and plan to go into this full time and eventually wind down on my MD world practice.
When did you graduate from the course? How long have you been an FDN?
I graduated, I believe it was in March or early April, something like that. Early April, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. If some of you are just joining us, I see you watching, make sure to drop the word coach below, and we are going to send you a link for a free career counseling session. I have Dr. Tom Johnson with me today, and we are talking about natural and functional medicine. If you have any questions for Dr. Johnson, you can also drop those below the video. So, Dr. Johnson, what other functional health training did you have prior to FDN?
A lot of things. I think I have 60% of my degree from the Edison Institute of Nutrition. It's an online course, excellent course. I have my diploma in herbology from a course in Toronto. I worked for about 5 years with an MD, PhD from Germany who was in Toronto. And he's been treating everything, including cancer, for 35 years with alternative medicine. And a lot of reading, like a huge amount. That was one of the best things. So it goes, I'm grabbing it, like right now I'm involved in studying hair analysis, for example. It just, it just never stops. There's so many things that you can learn about in alternative medicine. Yeah, and I think the idea is, I know a number of coaches want to be a specialist, and apparently some people make a lot of money doing that. I see it a bit differently. So maybe I could give an example why I think functional medicine is better than MD medicine. So
Yes,
in this hair analysis book I'm reading the last week or so, there were a couple of cases of schizophrenia, and one was 16 years old and diagnosed with schizophrenia and admitted to hospital and all the drugs. And then somebody did a hair analysis and found out they were toxic in, I even forget what mineral, but it was in a mineral. And once they were chelated, then they were fine. And there was another example of a 16-year-old who was diagnosed and put in institutions for 40 years, suffering from all the stuff of the schizophrenia type symptoms. And then after 40 years, they did a hair analysis, found that it was a heavy metal toxicity, and fixed that. And she's fine now. But she went through 40 years of suffering because of the approach of MD medicine. And what I think is a big difference is that in the functional medicine world, we try to find underlying dysfunctions in the body and fix them. Whereas in the MD world, we look at the group of symptoms and say, that's a disease, which is a big error. It's just some symptoms. So for example, in this case, they said, okay, you've got these symptoms, so you got schizophrenia. Well, it wasn't schizophrenia at all. It was a group of symptoms like that they call schizophrenia, but it was completely curable. And over, I see that. I see that with, another one is depression. So, if it's depression, then you can, if you make a diagnosis of depression, then you can say, okay, well, we need to use an antidepressant. That makes sense. And then I feel like MDs get reduced to a grade 3 level. And okay, you've got depression, you got these symptoms. Okay, well, we'll give you a drug for depression. Okay, bye-bye. Or the natural world says, oh, why have you got these symptoms? Something is wrong because everybody else didn't have them. So is it a vitamin D deficiency, a carnitine deficiency, bowel dysbiosis, and on, a whole list of things. And for example, there's even a study in Life Extension magazine. They have a study group there, some articles, and they showed a 50% cure rate of depression by fixing the bowel. And actually, back in the 1930s, Dr. Bernard Jensen cured 50% of the schizophrenics in the hospital and got them out by curing their bowel. So when I think of being a specialist in alternative or holistic or natural or functional medicine, I feel like that's counter to the whole approach, because it might be a nutritional deficiency, it might be a toxic heavy metal, it might be a hormone problem, it could be bowel dysbiosis, and on. So the more we find out about all the different systems, the more we have a chance of finding it. And on top of that, when you get any one of those things, let's say you get a heavy metal toxicity, well, it can show up as autism or schizophrenia, or it can show up as your liver is failing, or your heart is failing. It can show up as anything, any disease, and what would you say, autoimmune disorder. So if you can be, I think of myself as a detective. So I'm going in there saying, there's something missing here, and we need to find out what's wrong. And we're not going to treat your symptoms. We're going to say something is wrong here, and and even there you can go deeper and deeper. You can say, okay, somebody has pneumonia. Oh, well, just give them an antibiotic. Or you can say, everybody else doesn't get pneumonia. How come you've got pneumonia? Mm-hmm. And then you can say, okay, well, let's see, your vitamin D level is low. Okay, yeah. And you have a bowel dysbiosis. Okay. So and that causes inflammation throughout your body. So now we fix up those two things, and your depression's gone, or whatever it is, or your pneumonia, rather. You don't get pneumonia anymore. And so if you can think that the symptoms you get could be caused by a whole pile of things, and these diseases that we think of, many of the defects in our immune system, in our body, the same defect in two different people can result in two different diseases. So you can't just put them one to one and say, you've got a low vitamin D level, this is what you got, or you've got a high lead level, this is what you got. You can, in two people, the same dysfunction can result in two different diseases. So it's to me, it's that those two things. There's it could be many different things causing the problem, and then if you have that particular thing, it could result in different diseases, so-called diseases, which are really just a group of symptoms. So I find it very exciting. I feel like I'm Sherlock Holmes, and I'm going to find out what's the matter with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. The symptom is just so often removed from what is actually going on, from that actual dysfunction in the body. So you really do have to be a detective.
I just have a case I was just working on, and he had panic attacks and insomnia. And I thought, from the usual perspective, you'd pursue certain alleys. And if I was a specialist in something, I'd probably say it's from whatever that thing is. But I just did a bunch of tests, and he had a leaky gut, a severe leaky gut. And I think that is one of, if not the main player in his whole set of symptoms. And if I was in the MD world, I would not have picked that up. I just put him on an antidepressant and a sleeping pill and told him to go do some yoga or something, and he would never get better.
And that's really inspirational and very hopeful, I think, especially for clients and patients that you're working with, is that you have that hope that by doing this investigation that you can really heal your body and start to feel better again.
And with my 40 years of being an MD as well, it gives me a bit of depth to sorting through all these symptoms that people have. And when there's something that is a really red flag, and maybe we need to get something urgent done or something like that. But this is mostly for chronic conditions where it's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I see we have some more people joining us. So if you drop the word coach below, we are going to send you a link for a free career counseling session and our 10 tips for starting your online coaching business. I have Dr. Tom Johnson with me today, and we are talking about natural and functional medicine. So if you have questions for Dr. Johnson, please type them below, and we would love to get to those questions. Dr. Johnson, what led you to choose FDN over some other program like maybe IFM, Institute of Functional Medicine?
Well, I believe the universe has a role in my life. And so I was doing workouts at a place called PushFit. And one of the people there said they were doing an organic acids test on somebody. It was one of the coaches there, one of the phys ed physical coaches, weight training coaches. I said, "What the heck is an organic acids test?" And he said, "Well, this is what it is." And I said, "Wow, I've never seen that." And he said, I said, "Where'd you get that?" He said, "FDN." Okay. And I said, "Well, I've never heard of that." And so I went on the computer and, said, "Okay, let's see what this is." And I thought, this is right along the alley I've been pursuing. And it's been great. It was really extremely good course. I've been raving to everybody about it.
It is an extremely good course. It's, really changes the mentality and the way that you think and approach health.
Yeah. And the way you think is the key.
Yeah.
And it really helps you get your head around a different way of thinking, because it's a bit challenging when all the media and everything else is saying all those doctors are right and that's the only way there is. And, you think, well, it doesn't make sense to me, but if everybody else thinks that way, well, I guess it must be. But then FDN really helps you sort of work through that and see, no, it's not that way at all.
How did the FDN approach change your practice?
I missed that a bit. How did the FDN change my style of practice?
How did the FDN approach change your practice or your style of practice?
Okay. Well, I would say it went from there's a word for it, where you break everything down to small things and they're not connected. I forget the word for it. And it took me from that approach to looking at the whole thing. And this is where I think Reed Davis, the founder of the course, was really right on the mark when he said, he was working with people and his job was to give them supplements at this wellness clinic for the chiropractors and things. And more often than not, they wouldn't get better. And he said, well, there's got to be something. And he said, well, it's not just supplements, it's other things. And so we have this Dress for Success protocol, which is, there's 5 things on it. And it's diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplements. And with that whole package, it works pretty much all the time. And, that's what people in the alternative field have been saying, but sometimes it's been, well, you just need to do yoga, or you just need to do, stress reduction, or you just need to get some exercise, and he's saying, well, no, they're all important, and to work on them all. And I found that very helpful. Yeah.
And how do you feel that, can you easily incorporate the FDN approach into your scope of practice as an MD?
No, I think, and this is where I would like some help. If one of my missions is starting to evolve is to get a bigger and bigger group of MDs who are into this approach and turn the whole thing around and say, I think that this is where we should be getting our health coverage. And I think you should throw those pharmaceutical things out and not support people in that. And but if I start practicing this I work in a walk-in clinic now. After I got my cancer, I retired from my own practice. And I can do a little bit, for example, I'm like I said, I'm a detective. So after learning about vitamin D, for example, I started thinking about, okay, it's so important for so many things, including your immune system and many other things. I thought, okay, so people would come in and they would have bronchitis and they wouldn't get better. And I did their vitamin D level, and virtually 100% of them had a low vitamin D level. People come in with warts, kids, and I'd say, so I did a vitamin D level. They were all right down. And people come in with other things, pneumonia. They shouldn't get pneumonia. They almost all had a vitamin D level that was very low. And it went on, people with depression. And so I went on and on with just that one little thing. And that's how I could do a little bit of the FDN or natural or functional medicine approach. But if I sat down there and said, this is what we need to do, and we need to spend a few hours on this, it wouldn't work. And also, I might lose my license. There's been a number of cases where if you don't toe the line of the pharmaceutical industry, then they're going to come down on you and shut you down. There's been quite a few doctors where that's happened, actually.
That's an interesting fact to know. Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel like licensed practitioners are starting to maybe find this functional approach beneficial, and they're maybe interested in working with FDNs in their own practices?
I haven't seen very many, but there is a growing movement, but it's going to take a while. I just said to my daughter who came to visit from out west yesterday, she said, we were talking about how everything fits into each other, the whole ecological thing. And her son started understanding this from watching wild krats. And now he doesn't want to kill a mosquito because the mosquito kills, feeds the birds, and the birds do this, and it's all connected. And I said, when I was in university, nobody knew what the word ecology meant, hardly anybody. I said it was kind of a new, and I took a course. It's one of the first courses at our university in ecology. And here it is today, and here we are. Well, of course, it's all interconnected, and ecology is really important. And I got a feeling that's what's happening with the MD world. And I wish I could speed it up. I'd love to, and I'm going to try, but I have to think of some ideas. If any fresh ideas come in, pass them on to me. I'm thinking of trying to get some FDN type people at the MD conferences instead of the pharmaceutical people. And I don't know if they'll shut them out if I try and suggest that or what, even in the MD journals, you can't get a natural thing in there. It's got to be about a pharmaceutical. And it's a tight lock they got. They've got a lot of money behind them. And
yeah, absolutely. Dr. Johnson, do you work virtually at all? Or if people that are watching would like to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Oh, I work exclusively virtually.
Oh, amazing. Good.
Yeah, when I thought about it, at first I had a couple of offers to go in with naturopaths and people like that. And I had 3 offers and I was going to do it. And at the last minute, I thought about it. I said, where's the world going here? Is this really what it's all about? I don't think it is. I think what we're on right now is the real world of the future. So, then I thought, okay, I can treat anybody anywhere in the world that, as long as they have internet or even a phone and mail service, and compare that to just, my little local group of people. I think then I can have people who really need me can have access to me from anywhere. And I just think it's by far the best way to go. And FDN is really fantastic in getting you to set that up and encouraging you to do that and showing you how to do it. And I must admit, I have become, I was, a computer newbie in a way compared to the people that I'm talking to now on FDN, but like even getting my camera set up today and my microphone and, it's just all that stuff. And, make sure the background back here isn't covered in all kinds of nonsense and, just a lot of the different things. And you just take one step at a time and you just keep learning. It's just another way of learning. So having done it in the office all the time, it's nice in many ways. I prefer that. You have somebody right there. You're talking to them. You see them. You can read their body language and their tone of their voice more and get more information. But especially with the COVID thing, it's worked out fantastic because I can really see people and not be restricted in that. And it's I'm kind of like I said, I like to be a detective. So I like to be thinking about things. I'm not so much of a doer. I like to just think about and solve problems, So with the FDN, it's a case of, listening to the story, figuring out what tests to do and sending those off, getting the results back and putting the whole picture together. And then coming up with a unique plan to, resolve a number of these malfunctions and then see your results and get the feedback. Are they better? Are they not better? A little better? Or what's better? What's not? And then do we do more tests? And it's just, some people like doing crossword puzzles, but for me, this is my crossword puzzle. It's my mystery book or something. It's, I'm living it instead of reading it,
Yes.
And when you see the people get better, like, oh my God, some of these people that were sick for years and years and years, and nobody had anything to give them that was any helpful. And now you fix them up completely. Like, it's amazing. I really do think it's amazing.
It is amazing. How can people find you that might be interested in working with you?
Oh, I have a website, drtj.ca. So DOCTOR and then tj.ca. I'm in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a couple of questions if you are interested in answering them.
Sure.
First question is, what are your thoughts on eating meat? There's conflicting messages from different sources. What do you think?
Oh, on eating meat? Yeah, I think there's some wrong messages about that. I think that from a world perspective and saving the world from hunger, it'd be better if we all ate plants. But from an individual perspective, I don't think that's the healthiest way to be. So I think that even if you look at cultures, I think there was one India, I believe it was vegetarian, and they said, well, how can they survive? That's one of the only cultures that did that. And it turned out they had insects in their wheat or something, their grains or something, and that was how they got their B12 and things. But I think that if you look back at the cultures of the world, almost all of them eat meat. And there's a reason, because you've taken the plant materials and you've processed it further and further and further into this high quality protein that our body is made of. All your enzymes, all your structures are proteins, and plants only have limited amino acids. So you can't make the full protein unless you balance them exactly, and sometimes have supplements and things. Whereas, this is like, to me, putting the high octane stuff in your sports car is the animal protein. I think it's a really important thing. And I think it's got a lot of bad press. One of the things was because of the companies with their cholesterol pills. And they were promoting that, eating saturated fat was bad. You should eat polyunsaturated fat, which is nonsense. And that meats had saturated fat, so it must be causing all our heart attacks and strokes. And I don't think it does at all.
Awesome. Great answer. One more question for you. And Donna Sack wants to know, have you hit resistance from your clients from time to time? Do they always trust you and your guidance?
No, that is the biggest problem, because that's the issue from the internet to in my office or in the walk-in clinic. Okay. When I had my own office, it was not a problem at all. I remember, in fact, I had one patient who, he was 18. I delivered him many years ago. I knew the family for a long time. And he came in with a very high bilirubin level. Normally up to 20, 22, I think, the total bilirubin. His was over 1,000. He'd seen the gastroenterologist, he'd done a whole bunch of tests, and they didn't know what was going on, and all that stuff. And from my learning in the natural world, if you get psyllium, for example, binds up the bile after your gallbladder treats it, and takes it right out of your whole body, all those toxins in the bile. So I said, well, if we want to get this bile out of there, let's just put you on psyllium. So here I did put him on, 5 cents a day of psyllium. In a month, he came back, and he hadn't seen the gastroenterologist yet, and his bilirubin completely normal.
Wow.
Yeah. So and now I even forget the question that led me to that. Do you remember?
Yes, we were talking about, do you have resistance from your clients?
Oh, yeah. So here's this guy comes in to see a doctor who says, go on some fiber and solve this problem the gastroenterologist couldn't figure out. And it's really going to help you. Well, almost everybody's going to say, I'm an idiot and I better see another doctor, But he knew me, he trusted me, so he did what I told him, and it worked. But that's what happened on the internet. I feel like there's so many people I can help who see me, and the people who teach me about business say, know, like, and trust. That's the order the internet connections happen. So they don't know me, and they certainly don't like me right away. They can't trust me right away, certainly. And so I'll have people I know I can help them a lot. And they think I'm kind of a snake salesman, or, snake oil salesman. I don't know what you're doing this. You're just doing this for money. And this is, you're just trying to grab another buck from somebody. And how do you convince them? I've got like a half an hour, 45 minutes to tell them I'm kind of legit. This is not bullshit. This is something you need, and nobody else is seeming to give it to you. And I'm going to fix you up, and you're going to feel great. And so one thing that's helped me with is I don't like sales. Most of us don't like selling things. But when I'm convinced that I can really help these people, I will stay at it a bit, kind of a bit like a car salesman. But, I'll just be saying, now, come on, let's just think about how this is destroying your life and nobody's able to help you. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure I can help you, And then I'll even say, okay, why don't we plan another call in a week? And we'll just, you might have some more questions, some things to go over, and then maybe they can get to know me a little bit better. But the best trust I get is from when somebody refers somebody to me. Then it's pretty smooth. Mm-hmm. So if they know somebody and that person says, you better go see Dr. Johnson, he can help you. Then if I say, here's what we need to do, they'll say, okay, let's do that. But it's really hard when it's a stranger, not even in person, on the internet. And that's a real challenge. Yeah.
I agree. And, and that is really one of the reasons that Reed really teaches how to get that referral base going, because that is really fuels your business when you have that great referral base. Well, Dr. Johnson, I would just want to thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom and your knowledge. And I am really excited to see you on your FDN journey. And tell us one more time where people can find you.
Sure. It's at my website, drtj.ca, doctortj.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. Make sure if you're watching the replay, drop the word coach below, and we are going to send you that link for your free career counseling session. So make sure to drop that below the video. Thank you again, Dr. Johnson, for joining me. Thank you, everybody. We will see you guys back next week. Thank you.
Thank you.